Thank you, Mr. President. We would like to thank the acting special representative for Libya and the head of United Nations support mission in Libya, Ms. Stephanie Huri. We also thank the permanent representative of Japan, Mr. Kazuki Kamazaki, for their presentation. The Libyan political process remains at an impasse. So far, we are not seeing a prospect of any kind of a tangible progress. The constitutional track of negotiations between the House of Representatives and the High Council of State. The status quo under current conditions is tantamount to political process stagnation, continued political crisis and continued disunity for an indefinite period of time. This will inevitably be followed by further deterioration in security and economics and the deterioration of the standard of living of the people. The situation is close to critical, and this will probably not change unless there's close work with Libyan parties on the part of the international community. It's important to ensure that there is an inclusive political process, Libyan-led and Libyan-owned, with the participation of all respected political forces, so as to come up with acceptable solutions. And this also includes the representatives of former authorities. The plans for Libya should be long-term and make their cornerstone the well-being of the Libyan people entirely, rather than discussing the specific interests of a separate group or a particular actor. We also should avoid artificial deadlines and formulas imposed from outside. Mr. President, Russia shared the international consensus according to which the UN is to play the central role in Libyan settlement. We would like to underscore our heartfelt support to the key element of this configuration, the UN mission in Libya. That is, at the same time, we also know the positive contribution made by parallel initiatives by regional countries. Given that the UN mediation is stalling, their determination to contribute to the future of Libya is perfectly understandable. We would like to hope that ultimately overall efforts by everyone will help overcome the which has arisen amongst Libyan actors, which arose in 2011 after the NATO aggression. We are convinced that at the current stage, any states which would help to restore the country would be welcome. Mr. President, the continued internal crisis and split in Libya make the security situation on the ground very fragile, and we have an opportunity to see this on many an occasion in recent months. The fact that the main issue is not resolved, the issue of consolidating of political power, helps make sure that additional actors arise because they are desperate and do not think that the solution is coming up soon. When it comes to eliminating the foreign military presence in the country, we've always advocated a synchronized, balanced, gradual and step-by-step withdrawal of all non-Libyan armed groups and armed units, in the course of which the current balance of forces is not to be upset. Mr. President, we're most concerned by the current practice of attempts made at the Libyan assets, which are frozen under the sanctions regime by the unscrupulous Western banks and financial institutions, which we have seen many times. We cannot close eyes to the fact that sometimes their lead is followed by the national governments who are simply trying to get to make their nationals possible to make some income. And this is also compared to the fact that the Western countries destroy the sovereign developing Libya. As we know, in 2011, the Libyan state was destroyed. The country had sanctions levied against it, and the Belgian fund Euroclear to date still holds 15 billion euros, which belongs to the Libyan Investment Authority. As became clear recently, thanks to journalist investigations, for 6 years, supposedly by mistake, the Belgian bankers pretended that they didn't know that they had to froze the interest earnings generated by this capital. More than that, these earnings were quietly taken off the accounts and disappeared. And as far as we can tell, the amount in question is about 2.8 billion euros. This amount was just simply stolen from the Libyan people. The leadership of the Libyan Investment Authority intends to seek justice in courts, and we hope very much that they will be able to get justice, even though the fact that stealing of assets have recently become a legitimized practice by Western states. We would like to recall here that these funds were blocked not so as to punish anyone, but to safeguard them. This is the main goal of the Council here, as far as we're concerned, is to keep the Libyan amounts at the current turbulent stage to make sure that in future they're used for the benefit of the Libyan people, as we have stated in this document on this issued by the Security Council. Mr. President, I would like to, in conclusion, say that given the critical role that UNSMIL is to play in Libyan settlement, all of the issues that we mentioned today are only worsened in a situation when we don't have a new special representative for Libya. What we need here is a consequential figure who has authorities with Libyan parties, and at the same time equidistant, which will not have its own agenda and can build a respectful dialogue with all actors. It is only under these conditions that the special representative will be able to effectively accompany the national dialogue. It's important to make sure that this person's initiatives are trusted by the Libyans, and we call on the Secretary General to intensify efforts looking for the worthy candidate which would meet all of these criteria and then would have the support of all members of the Security Council. We do hope that the transition period will not be too long, and we wish Ms. Khoury to go through this in a commendable way, and we confirm that we're interested in the closest possible cooperation with UNSMIL in New York and in Tripoli. Mr. President, I would also like to react to those who today try to use the issue of the violations by my country of sanction regime provisions in Libya. I would like to recall here that the traditionally friendly cooperation between Russia and Libya is conducted whilst taking into account all of the international obligations and is in line with special resolutions of Security Council. Using internal differences in Libya, you will not be able to use them so as to sow discord between us and our partners. But it would be much more interesting instead of that to hear from our distinguished American colleague information about the activities in Libya of the private military company Amentum. We have some information about that from their website. And according to the website, they're also working in Somalia and Yemen. According to the Libyan reporters, Amentum has intensified activities in Tripoli. And that is indeed a topic for the Sanctions Committee to consider. But our American colleagues who think themselves the masters of the world will probably not allow the experts to investigate that issue. I thank you for your attention.